Both the Corpse Grinder cult, Slaughterhouse, and the Rust Belt Rangers enforcers, unaware to the other, have been trailing a Dome Runner. Moving from clue to clue, the two gangs have narrowly missed each other on several occasions. Their luck runs out as the Dome Runner is now trapped between the two gangs as they fight for information she may have. Welcome back to MGM, a great place for casual gaming. Today we have the Corpse Grinder cult in a classic matchup with the Enforcers in the scenario Dome Rush. The campaign table is starting to stretch with a few gangs pulling away. Both of these factions sit at 0-2 and desperately need a win today to stay relevant. Let's take a look at the Corpse Grinder cult Slaughterhouse. They have 8 active fighters on their roster, with Duriel picking up some equipment from the stash. They decide to bank their 50 credits and depart with a starting force of 960 credits. Over for the Rust Belt Rangers, the Captain Logan will be in recovery today. The Sergeant Talos leads them into battle. With no roster changes or additions, they bank their 60 credits and depart with 6 active fighters and a starting force of 820 credits. Today's mission is Dome Runner. From an April 2021 White Dwarf, the battlefield is standard and all fighters will participate. No tactics cards will be granted in this fight. The Enforcers will choose a battlefield corner and deploy all fighters within 6 inches of that corner. The Corpse Grinders will deploy on the opposite side, and a Dome Runner will be placed in the middle of the battlefield. The Dome Runner will have a profile, and if hit by an attack, she will become pinned, but is otherwise unaffected. In each end phase, the player with priority activates the Dome Runner and must move her a maximum distance and end at least 5 inches from where she started. After moving, she can choose to do one of the following: place a loot casket and/or any type of booby trap within 6 inches, or she can remove a booby trap within 6 inches. The battle ends when only one gang has fighters remaining or one gang has opened 3 loot caskets. Victory goes to the gang that first opened those caskets or to the gang left standing. As always, we really appreciate you taking the time to watch our videos. You can support our efforts with a like on this video. Like the last game, we'll be trying to incorporate the new rules in this one. Place your bets in the comments below as these two gangs get ready to clash. Both sides have been deployed, infiltrators have been set up, and we're down to the table side for turn 1. And with priority going to the Enforcers, turn 1 is upon us. Boss Hog, the Subjugator Sergeant, is going to move forward. He scopes things out before using his second action to move forward again. The Corpse Grinders activate their Butcher, and he moves quickly 10 inches down towards the center of the board. The Sergeant Talos will activate, uses both of his actions to move, getting onto a catwalk. The Cutter Bale is going to use both of his actions to move forward, moving down the Corpse Grinder right flank. Over for the Enforcers, we have Boomer, who is going to use both of his moves to get forward, staying in cover. We then flip over to Mephisto, who uses both of his actions to move as well, going down the center. We've got Mahoney, who activates next, uses both actions to move up behind Boomer. The Corpse Grinders move Asmodan as Skinner up behind the Butcher. We've then got Dragnet, who is going to move up next to Talos. Duriel is going to move up behind Mephisto, giving him support. We've then got Decker using both of his moves, coming up behind his Enforcer buddies on their right flank. Some of these initiates did infiltrate to the center of the board. Jarvis moves up with a simple action. He is then going to fire his auto pistol into the Subjugator Sergeant. He strikes him 3 times. Strength, toughness are equal, so 4 is to wound. Results in 2, and saves are made. The Subjugator Sergeant will go down pinned, and we'll go back to the rest of the Corpse Grinders for remaining activations. And Craven feels like he's in a pretty good defensive spot right here. He is just going to pass on his activation. We are then going to move up to Jurgen, who is just going to use a move to get behind cover. And that brings turn 1 to a close. So turn 1 ends, we have no bottle checks or recovery checks to make. The Enforcers will activate the Dome Runner here. The Dome Runner is going to move 5 inches, and she is going to drop a Melt-A-Trap. Now the rules state if a model comes within 2 inches of a trap for any reason, they risk setting it off. So we are going to play these traps as they can be set off. So the trap is revealed and a Melt-A-Bomb is going to explode. The blast pins both fighters, hits them with a Strength 8 hit. We resolve Jarvis first, requires 2s to wound, easily going to wound, and AP4 cuts through his armor. This should be all out of actions. We missed this. The Melta rule says if you roll dice, they are all out of action. We did apply a serious injury and 2 flesh wounds, and a wound roll to Craven is not successful. As we kick off turn 2, the Corpse Grinders do win the priority on a tie. They are going to move Jarvis back. He's just going to crawl. We do have Decker moving back now, realizing what the Dome Runner can do. The Butcher is going to use both of his actions to move, continuing to push up the left flank. We've then got Dragnet, who uses both actions to move down the catwalk, getting into cover. Back for the Corpse Grinders, Asmodan will continue to follow the Butcher. The Subjugator Sergeant, Boss Hog, is going to get to his feet with an action, and then he is going to move out of line of sight. One of the Cutters is going to use both actions to move up the stairs. With no targets acquired, Talos is going to use his actions to move as well. Duriel activates next, following the Cutter and staying out of line of sight of that long-range rifle. We've then got a move from Boomer. As he moves forward with his first action, he has an Enforcer shotgun. He is going to fire with a scatter shot template. D6 wounds for this template weapon is 6. It is strength 2, but Jarvis is only toughness 1, so this would require 2s to wound. We only count 2 of these. It should be 3. He takes 2 armor saves and fails them, and injury dice are rolled out. He is going to be out of action. Now for those unfamiliar, we do only roll once on the lasting injury table. Instead of multiple times, this fighter will be out cold. A cool check from Craven nearby is good. We move back to the Corpse Grinders, where Bale is going to move twice, continuing to creep up the right flank. Up next we have Mahoney. He is just going to move forward slightly and then pass on his second activation. Up top we have Jurgen. He's going to use both of his actions to move, just relocating behind some cover. And up next we have Craven, gets to his feet, fires the auto pistol at Boomer, hits twice rapid fire, only needed 4s there. The shots fail to wound, however, needing 4s, Boomer does go down pinned. With turn 2 in the books, we did see an out of action there. The Corpse Grinders will have to take a bottle check in this one. We go ahead and throw that out. That is going to be passed. They are not in a position to where they can fail yet. With no recovery or rally test, we are going to move to the Dome Runner, where the Corpse Grinders will take control, move her 5 inches, and they are going to decide to drop a loot casket. Now, one of the victory conditions of this game is to open 3 of these loot caskets. The loot casket is revealed within 6 inches of the Dome Runner, and we move over to priority for turn 3, where the Enforcers will be up. And up first, Boomer immediately gets to his feet and moves out of line of sight. Mephisto is then going to use both of his moves to move forward again, getting to a door here. The Sergeant Talos realizes they're getting too close, uses both actions to start moving back. We've then got Duriel, who's going to use both of his actions to move, still following behind Mephisto. Dragnet, similar to Talos, has no targets acquired. He's going to use both of his actions to move as well. The Corpse Grinders then activate Bale. He is going to use both of his actions to move. And we still have action unfolding towards the center of the board, as Boss Hog is going to come around the corner, and he is going to point his stub gun at Craven. Full cover offsetting the +2 modifier at short range, so it will need 4s. The shot misses, and Jurgen is going to retaliate by moving forward, pointing his auto pistol down and firing, but he misses as well, needing 4s. Up next we have Mahoney, who moves forward. He is going to target Jurgen, and he is going to need 5s due to partial cover. He sinks a hit, and ammo check is required on a 4+, which is good. At strength 4, he needs 3s to wound. He will get a wound, and at AP 1, he cuts through the flak. Still gets a save for the Initiate's Mask, though, and it fails. 2 injury dice come out, and he is going down with a serious injury, taking a flesh wound as well. The Corpse Grinders activate Craven next. He is going to announce a charge into the Subjugator Sergeant with his Boning Sword. He also has a sidearm, base attack of 1, +1 for the charge, +1 for 2 melee and or sidearm weapons. His attacks miss, needing 4s. We do miss 1 here. The shield and the stub gun should be 2 reaction attacks here. We only called 1. It does miss. These 2 fighters will stay locked in combat. We've then got Decker, who's moving up. He's going to attempt to fire his bolter across the board, targeting the Butcher. He will need to pass a 7-up willpower. That is going to fail, and he is going to end his activation. Next, the Butcher activates and moves twice, continuing to move towards the center of the board. He will be followed by Azmodan. And turn 3 comes to a close. The Enforcers will have control of the Dome Runner. First up, a bottle check from the Corpse Grinders. The bottle test is good. We also need a recovery roll from Jurgen, who's down with a flesh wound, serious injury. He's going to take another flesh wound. That's 2. We've then got the Dome Runner that's going to move. She is going to reveal another Melta trap. This time it rolls up as a dud and is removed from play. Corpse Grinders very lucky on that one. With priority rolls coming out for turn 4, we're going to go back to the Corpse Grinders with yet another tie. And we all saw it coming. First to the fray means the Butcher rolls a D6 on his charge. He is easily going to make it into combat with the Subjugator Sergeant. Paired Butcher's Chain Cleavers doubles his attacks to 4s, +1 for the charge and 1 for 2 melee weapons. He lands all of them. Just needs 3s to wound, strength +1, and he is going to get 4 wounds. While the shield gives some protection, AP2 still puts him on a 4-up save. He fails 2 of them. It causes 4 damage, reducing him to 0 wounds. 3 injury dice are rolled out, and he goes out of action. On a roll of 32, he goes into convalescence, and the Butcher is going to consolidate. In a panic, Mahoney aims his bolter. He is going to fire at Craven, needing a 2 short range. He gets the hit 3 times with rapid fire. Strength 4, requires 3s to wound. He only gets 1 wound. His 6-up save was failed. He takes 2 damage, goes down with a serious injury, takes a flesh wound, and a cool check rolls out for the Butcher. He is good. With the Corpse Grinders up next, Azmodan is going to smash the loop casket. He is a strength of 3, +3 is 6. That is going to open. He rolls to see what's in it, however, and it's a trap. It explodes. A frag blast knocks him back, fails to wound, but they will still get the point for opening this loot casket. Corpse Grinders now go up 1-0. Shaking off the dirt, Azmodan uses his second action to stand back up. Back to the Enforcers, we've got Boomer that's going to activate next. He moves up to the corner with his first action and then fires his shotgun. Again, scatter shot template, first targeting Craven. He's going to get 5 wound rolls, strength 2 against his toughness of 2, 4s needed to wound. 5-up armor saves are failed, injury dice come pouring out, and he goes out of action, and it's going to be a 34 going into convalescence. The Butcher will take a nearby cool check, needs a 6+, and he is going to just be okay. He is also hit by the template. There will be 5 wound rolls at strength 2 against his toughness 4. Going to need 6s here. There is 1. He does take an armor save, and it is failed. He will take a wound. Up next we have Jurgen, who's just going to pass on his activation as he quietly bleeds out on top of the stairs. Mahoney attempts to take a shot across the board, aims, being offset by partial cover, needing 4s, shot misses. Bale then moves up to the door and uses his second action to open it, getting ever so closer. Talos is going to use an action to move here. He is then going to fire a sniper rifle. He normally hits on 4s, it is long range, so he's getting a +1. That is being offset due to partial cover, however. That shot is going to miss. Mephisto then uses an action to open the door and moves through into cover. Dragnet moves, will attempt to take a shot at Bell, will need to pass a willpower check first on a 7+, and the partial cover here needs a 5 in order to hit. That shot is no good. Duriel is going to continue moving up behind Mephisto as the corpse grinders continue to move closer and closer. Alright, that wraps up turn 4, and a lot of action starting to take place. The corpse grinders are closing the door on the enforcers. Bottle checks for both sides are required. Corpse grinders are okay. The enforcers are okay as well. Rolling a recovery for Jurgen, he is going to bleed out. A D66 roll for him is a 43. That fighter will be humiliated going into convalescence. The Dome Runner then moves forward and reveals a Melta trap. On a 4+, the trap explodes. It clips 2 enforcers, Mahoney and Decker. Both fighters hit the deck and it wounds on 2, starting with Mahoney. It cuts through his armor. A D66 is a memorable death. Commander Cheapskate, if you're watching, I owe you some money. Up next, we've got Decker, again, wounding on 2s, cutting through his armor, and then he will roll up a 44. And that will be an eye injury. 2 enforcers taken down, priority rolls go out, it's going back to the corpse grinders. Turn 5 is underway. Bale activates first, using both of his actions to move. He is going to get under the catwalk here, so he is out of line of sight. Boomer activates first for the Enforcer, tries to fire a salvo shot, passes his willpower check on a 7+. He's short range, the shot is going to hit, an ammo check is required, is failed, so his gun does jam up. The wound roll, however, is unsuccessful against toughness 4, and he uses his second action to retreat. The corpse grinders continue to send Azmodan forward, applying pressure. We've got a shot from Dragnet that cracks across the board. It does miss. He did not aim there because he wants to use his second action to move. The Butcher uses his first action to stand and his second to move. They continue to move forward. The Enforcer shotgun now out of ammunition. As we go back to the Enforcers, the Sergeant Talos is going to activate. He is going to go ahead and forego shooting, using both actions to move, getting to higher ground. With the remaining activations to the corpse grinders, Duriel surges forward with 2 moves. He is followed by Mephisto, and turn 5 comes to a close. So unfortunate events there on behalf of the Enforcers. Bottle checks again required by both sides. The corpse grinders fail here. They have 3 that are out of action, plus 6 is 9. That is more than their starting crew. They bottle. The Enforcers are still okay. The Dome Runner is going to move and drop a loot casket right next to Azmodan. This will give them the opportunity to go up 2-0 and be 1 casket away from victory. Priority rolls go out, and it goes to the Enforcers, much needed here. We start the round by taking cool checks. The Butcher's good, needing a 6 up. He gives that to Azmodan, who's close by. The Cutters then both take cool checks, and they are good as well, spreading that to Duriel. And starting up turn 6, Boomer, whose Enforcer shotgun is out of ammo. He is going to whip out his stub gun, attempt to take a shot at the Butcher here. Unfortunately, he fails that willpower check, uses his second action to move. The Butcher rolls up a 6 on his D6 charge with first to the fray. That is going to be enough to carry him into contact. An out of line of sight charge, however, decimates his hit roll. He only converts with 1-3. It is strength 4, however, so he does get a wound, and AP2 is going to cut through his armor. He rolls up and out of action with 2 damage. Boomer rolls up a 22, which is out cold, while the Butcher consolidates. The Butcher is daring Dragnet to fire down against his mask. He passes a 7-up willpower check, and then he fires with his bolt gun and lands a hit. Strength 4 against T4 needs force to wound. He does get a wound. The armor save will be failed, and an injury die will be rolled out here. 2 of them as he's reduced to 0 wounds, 2 damage, and the Butcher goes out of action. A 34 is rolled up, sending him into convalescence. With the loss of their leader, Duriel surges forward. Talos reacts swiftly with his skill Fast Shot. He's going to pull out his stub gun, foregoing the sniper rifle. He fires down short range. He does land a hit with the stub gun. 4 is required to wound, and he is going to get a wound. Armor save will be taken and failed. An injury die is rolled out. He goes down with a serious injury to a stub gun. He then takes an initiative check, and that fails. He plummets to the bottom, takes a strength 3 hit. That does a wound to Duriel, and he fails his armor save again. That is going to be a flesh wound on Duriel. A nearby cool check from Bale needs to be taken on a 6+. It fails. He becomes broken, makes a 2d6 run for cover, and he's hiding away, losing his activation. With Fast Shot, Talos switches to his long rifle, fires at Mephisto, but misses. Mephisto then uses this opportunity to surge forward, hoping to get the initiative on the next turn. We then move down to Asmodan, who is going to attempt to smash open the casket, and he is going to successfully do that. 4 + 3 is 7. He will find nothing useful, but the Corpse Grinders will go up 2-0. At the end of the turn, the Enforcers take a bottle check, and they are going to fail, so both gangs have now bottled out. Corpse Grinders take a recovery roll. Duriel goes out of action. He will be out cold. We then take a recovery roll for Bale, and he fails to recover. He will stay broken. The Enforcers do move the Dome Runner. She is going to reveal a Melta trap within 2 inches of the Corpse Grinder. It fails to go off though. It's a dud and is removed from play. We get ready for turn 7. Cool checks will need to be taken by both sides. The Enforcers win priority. They will be up first. Talos is going to test, needing a 6 up. He's good and spreads that over to Dragnet. Mephisto fails here, so he scoots off the board, needing a 6. Bale does pass his, and Asmodan is going to pass his as well. We're now 2-on-2 here as Talos uses his first action to move. He is going to fire at the Corpse Grinder, Asmodan. The shot misses, however, and Asmodan surges forward to the ladder. Next, we've got Dragnet. He uses an action to move. He is going to target Bale. Will need to pass a willpower check in order to take the shot. 7 up required. While the test is successful, the shot is going to miss. Ammo check is required and is passed. Bale makes a 2d6 run for cover, and turn 7 comes to a close. Bale rolls up to rally, and that is successful. The Dome Runner moves per the Enforcers, and it's placed next to the Corpse Grinder, but on a 2, it's just going to stay there. We will not detonate this when he moves. Priority rolls go back to the Enforcers for turn 8. We start taking cool checks. Talos is going to fail, needing a 6. He scoots off the board, and now Dragnet will have to test as well, needing a 7. He is good. Corpse Grinders also owe checks, first on Bale, he is good, and then on Asmodan, he's good as well. The Lone Enforcer targets Bale with his Enforcer bolt gun, passes a willpower check, fires, and strikes the target. We need to see 3s to wound. There's no wound. Bale is going to fail an initiative check and fall. He takes a strength 3 hit, requiring 4s to wound. He'll take an armor save, which fails, and he will take a wound. We've already rolled for the trap, so Asmodan is going to continue surging forward, moving twice. Bale is then going to use his first action to stand, and his second to move forward. With turn 8 over, the Dome Runner is going to move again. Per the Enforcers, she is going to place another Melta trap, but it is just going to stay in place. It will not detonate. As we roll up for turn 9 priority, it goes to the Corpse Grinders. They have a chance to take victory here. We roll a cool check for Bale, needing a 6. He fails and runs off the board. Asmodan then fails, needing a 7, and he runs off the board. The Enforcers roll up a 7 up to stay in the game. They avoid a draw, and this game is going to go to the Enforcers. At the very end of the game, with both gangs bottled, all the corpse grinders had to do was win the initiative to get the third loot casket. Instead, both of their fighters have fled the battlefield. The enforcers with their lone ranger has stuck around, and that is going to give them the victory today, as they are the last gang standing. This was an absolute incredible match to make. I really hope that you enjoyed it. We've got the post-game coming up next. And welcome to the post-game, where both forces went down to the last fighter or two. Just an incredible game. This was a ton of fun to play. The Dome Runner running around and being able to place traps was pretty cool, but at the same time, being able to spam any kind of trap you want, such as Melta, gas, whatever, that is a little too much. I would prefer if those were still kind of maybe a single use for each side, and the rest had to be frag traps. Still, overall, a terrific game, just a ton of fun to film this game and edit it up. The Enforcers will improve to 1 and 2, while the Corpse Grinders will, oddly enough, fall to 0 and 3. The Enforcers will take 50 credits for their efforts today as we look forward to downtime. The Corpse Grinders will take 25 credits. A lot of injuries to report today. Mahoney has a memorable death, and I was really attached to his name and his character. If you guys remember those old Police Academy movies from the 80s, that's where Mahoney comes from. Unfortunately for the Corpse Grinders, they could not win priority there until the very last roll, and when they did win it, both their fighters fled the battlefield, so just really unfortunate set of circumstances for them. We're going to get both of these gangs settled up into downtime with some nice bankroll credits coming through to upgrade their gangs. The man of the match in this one obviously going to Dragnet, as he was the Lone Ranger left standing. Hey, really appreciate you watching the battle report. Such a pleasure to put these together, rolling dice with my son. If you have any questions, comments, you feel free to leave those down below. Anything for channel support, a link will be down in the description below, all totally optional, not too worried about that. You can become a channel member or support with a coffee or buy merch. Numerous ways to support the channel should you choose to do so. The most powerful thing, of course, is watching the video, and if you've watched the video this far, you've done more than enough to support the channel. Also, a big thank you to the Supporters Club. Your names are on the screen now, and the terrain has all been updated. If you'd like any more info on that, of course, links are all down below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.